Hello there everybody, this is Krista and welcome back to the Krista Chronicles. And today I wanted to do a little this or thatting Lisa Papez style. I love those videos that she does. I think they're so much fun and such a good way to sort of assess the collection. And I've had a feeling for a few weeks now that it's starting to feel like I maybe have more crossover in my collection right now than I would like. I feel like, and this is what Lisa always says in her videos, that there isn't any certain like number I put on my collection that I like to have. I just don't do that. I like having what I like having, sort of thing, you know. But it's, so I don't even know necessarily like when this happens. There's not really any sort of like number on it is what I'm saying. It's just this feeling I get every once in a while of like, okay, I think there maybe is a little bit too much here. So I like to assess. I very much use I like calling it a timeout system, where I have a bin that any deck that I'm thinking about maybe rehoming, I put it in there. It really does sit there for quite a while just to make sure that's the choice I want to make. And then I move it along somehow, some way in the future. But often, I will say, I do often take things out of that bin, which is why I like having that bin. So, what I wanted to go through today is my collection is kind of really spread out all around this room. Broken up into little separate categories. So I have this one section that is like my deity decks, deity work decks. So a lot of them are themed around like goddesses or just other deities, but some of them, it's just the feel that they give me. It's the purpose that they have just come to serve. And that's where I'm feeling like there is a lot of crossover right now. So that's what I want to go through today, starting with the Ancient Feminine Wisdom Oracle with, I believe this is just called the Goddess Oracle. And I have two others to compare this to, because what really made me want to do this is with my new deck digest this last time. One of the new decks I got it's a goddess deck with keywords, and I kind of realized I have quite a few of those. When it's not really a kind of deck I use a ton. So I want to start out with these two though, because they feel like they're a bit on the same page in terms of the coloring and maybe the season I would use it in. So yeah. And of course I will have linked below whatever I can. But like for example, the Ancient Feminine Wisdom I believe is still out of print. So, you know, I'll still list the names, but I'll just put out of print if it's out of print. And then the Goddess deck, which I did trim and edge myself. So it does usually have white borders all the way around, but I trimmed it. Yes, okay, this is feeling right to compare here. This, I don't know, this is like a style of deck where I'm always drawn to goddess decks, especially when they have keywords. I don't know what it is, but then I rarely use them, and I don't know why that is either. But to me, these feel like they were fitting, they fit into the same category, because something about the artwork to me is similar, the color palette is similar. I'm not going through right now and at all comparing the like content in terms of what goddesses are in here. That would take forever. But from what I'm remembering, there's pretty much a very similar spread going on. And so I think it really kind of just comes down to like, which artwork do I like the best? I think that's how I kind of have to view this kind of deck, considering I have so many. I don't really use them. I think looking at these right now, I think the Goddess deck feels more like something I would use, especially in the summertime. Something about the art is making me think like Joanna Powell Colbert decks. Like I think it would be so cool with the Gaian Tarot, the Herb Crafters Tarot. And I think what gets odd for me with this one is the border is an off-white instead of a white, and sometimes I find that hard to pair. I find I tend to not always favor oracles that have borders. I really like a tarot that has borders, but for some reason oracles, I really prefer them to be borderless, so it seems. Yeah, I think this is feeling like an easy one. I think the Goddess deck to me feels like just something I would really use. Something about this, I don't think I really like the borders. I think I like that this one, the artwork is a bit more close-up feeling, where this feels kind of distant from the characters. And it almost feels unfocused, which it is not. It's not, the images are not blurry or anything like that. I think it's just the art style maybe I'm not jiving with. Okay, all right, we're off to a solid start there. Ancient Feminine Wisdom. I think that this gal's gonna go in timeout. Okay, but then we're gonna put this one away for a second, because this to me, the other thing about my decks is that I very, very much use them seasonally. And so I don't mind having crossover when it feels to me like, oh, but this is one I would use more in the spring, summer, and this is one I would use more in the fall, winter. And so it just so happens that the other two I have feel definitely more fall, winter. So we're gonna compare those two. If I'm pausing a bunch, I'm just trying to remember to have my morning tea, because it is before work currently. Okay. Oh, my voice. So this is the new deck that I have. It's the Dark Goddesses Oracle. And I want to look at this with the Guidance of the Goddess, I think it's called. Yes, Guidance of the Goddess. I think in the latest reprint, it also got a rename, so again, we'll have that below. This is one I've had for quite a long time now. And do I use it often? Not really, not really. Oh gosh. Okay. And again, this is a new one that I kind of was putting off getting it, I think because I know this kind of deck isn't one I always go to, but I love the artwork. And I think that's the thing with this one too, is I love the artwork. And so I don't really know what it is, why I kind of resist using these sorts of decks when I'm obviously very drawn to them. They do feel like they've got such different vibes. I don't even feel like they're super comparable. I think what I love about this deck is that folk art feel. I love it so much. And then, but over here, then we get that real truly dark goddess energy to it, and I like the black and white. I really liked pairing it with quite a lot of things. Oh, I like them both. And again, also my purpose of this is not like to get rid of things just to get rid of things. That's not at all what's going on. So like, you know, if I like both, I like both. That's okay. But I'm just sort of trying to work through like, okay, but if I like it, then why don't I use it? I think with this deck, I need to really do a good playing with some pairs, find decks that really pair well with it. I think it'd be super fun to use this deck as like an oracle for the month or something. Oh, maybe it'd even be good as a card for the week kind of thing. Wouldn't that be interesting? Because I've been loving my card of the week practice, And I think it'd be so cool to have a goddess companion for the whole week. I think these really do feel so different though, and I feel like they could both have a place. This one, I'm really loving this one, and I do find that I have been using this one. I really, really like this. So that one is absolutely staying, because, again, she's also very new. I just want to look at it side by side with this one. Where did the booklet go? Gosh, I'm losing things. We'll find that later. But this I want to keep out because I think I just gotta find some pairings I like for it. Because I've obviously held on to it for a very long time. So there must be something. I do wish, I missed the boat on the tarot, the Candle in the Cave tarot, and I don't know if it's available anymore. But I would love to try that deck. I'll have to look into it, but it's by the same artist. Yes. Okay, I think that's the thing. We're gonna set this aside so I can, like, really find some good pairs for it. Okay, so that was my goddess keyword decks. Okay, so my next pairing here, I don't really know what to call the comparison between these other than truly feminine nude bodies. So also, warning, if you have this like big on your TV screen or something and have small children. It's the Witch's Tarot and the Abyssal Tarot. I feel like these could kind of compare, and so this is one I've used quite a bit. This is one that I'm feeling a little unsure if it's something that I really mesh with. I like the photography aspect of it a lot. Actually, both of them are photography, so that's another comparison. And I think the difference is, like, this one to me feels so like this meeting of fire and water, where this just feels like a really, like, dark energy. But I think what I like about the Abyssal so much is that for the most part, because of this underwater element feel to it, I actually do think they were underwater. Yes. It, more times than not, really obscures the faces. And so I think makes it a little bit easier for me to use in readings for myself. Where with the Witch's Tarot, you can really, you know, distinguishably see who it is. Yeah, I feel like looking at them side by side, they really are holding, feel like they would serve a similar purpose for me as terms like why I would go to these. And I just feel like the Abyssal would win out. I think sometimes too with the Witch's Tarot, the photograph, it almost feels like there's a bit of a disconnect between the choice of photo and the card. That could totally just, I don't know, that could just be me entirely. It just feels somehow like there's a bit of a disconnection. Where with this deck, it feels really intentional. Again, not to say anything about the actual intents of the creators, just totally the feeling I get from it. Yeah, okay. This felt eye-opening. I think they're feeling a bit similar to me in terms of how I would use them. So we're gonna, I really love this tarot so much, but I think the Witch's Tarot is gonna go in timeout. I think that confirmed it for me. Awesome. I should actually make 2 separate piles here instead of piling everything back together. Okay. Next up, is this even a fair comparison? Maybe I shouldn't even do that. Let's do this. Okay, so these 2 decks I put together because they feel very much like, either they feel like it or are Aphrodite energy. Kind of like it feels like self-love, self-empowerment. So that is the Goddess of Love Tarot with the She-Wolf Tarot, which probably a year, maybe even 2 years ago now, I had quite the moment with the She-Wolf Tarot. Because this is one I never thought I would have even gotten, let alone like really gotten along with, but I definitely did. It definitely found a place in my collection. And then this last February, I'm pretty sure, I got this deck, and I kind of feel like they've got a very similar purpose going on. But I was actually going to say like very different feels, but I don't even know if that's true, because they both utilize collage. Just in 2 pretty different ways. I love all the pink going on just with these 2 set together. So that's really fun. Oh, I don't know. This is feeling harder than I would have thought. I used the Goddess of Love, of course, a ton, last February for like Valentine's season. And I do remember liking it. I can't really remember much with how I felt about the guidebook. And so I'm kind of wondering if perhaps maybe this coming Valentine's season I should have both of these decks out, because I could see both of them really working well for that energy, especially with the colors. Because I could see it kind of ending up where this feels more like a true deity deck, where this just feels like very self-focused, which kind of is the case with the themings of the decks. Because I do also have the Tarot of Aphrodite, I think it's called. But you know, the one with the pink borders, and that one is sitting in timeout right now. So probably more of the comparison would have been this one to that one, but I was curious to see if these felt like they maybe had a similar energy, but I don't know if that's true. I think probably this one I just know I really enjoy. This one maybe I need to use the guidebook again, because it's been almost a year now probably since I've last used it, and make an informed decision there. Because I think they feel a bit different. Yeah, I think so. Alright, that is the Goddess of Love Tarot. And I did make such a cute bag for it. So that showed, like, I definitely must have really enjoyed it. To, you know, put the effort into making a bag. That's usually a good sign for me. Okay, yeah, that sounds good. I think February we're going to bring both of these out. Cool. Okay, I've got 2 more sets of decks I want to look at. This one, to me the comparison is that they both have a feel like they have a comfort-centered purpose. And so that is the power of the Yin Oracle and the Alana Fairchild Mother Mary Oracle. I feel like they both have this like comforting softness to them. And I don't really know, which I do enjoy. However, I don't know that I really need both, you know? Oh, and actually, very similar art styles. I never even realized that. And both of them, because this is the pocket version, both of them have the artwork on the front, message on the back. And so I think we probably should compare those. I think the thing is that I love this card. I do have a bit of a practice that goes on with the figure Mary, and so I do have quite a few Mary decks. However, I think as that has evolved, it has become less specifically Mary, as I feel like she shows up in this deck. And again, now this is totally my perception, so take this with a huge grain of salt. But to me, I think this Mary Oracle feels a bit more like strictly Mary as I was introduced to her in the Catholic Church. And so I think where that's not really the view I have now, and so I think maybe that's where there feels like there's some collision. And then also to say that I have both the Black Madonna Oracle and the, no, sorry, Black Madonna Tarot and the, I don't want to say Mary Tarot, but it's the other one. The other one. Gosh, which I feel like would relate a bit more to this oracle. And I think the way those are done, where in the guidebook it tells all these stories of the Madonna statues and different forms culturally Mary has taken on, I think that makes more sense to me. And so when I am wanting to do work with Mary, I feel like I go to those decks. It's this one I was keeping around because I was like, well, it's kind of just a good, just like nice, comforting message deck. But then I got this and I've used this a ton, and they absolutely fit the same bill for me, because this one feels very comforting, very like soft and nice. And so I definitely don't think I need both of them. And then I think I was keeping this one around because I had like the whole set of these pocket oracles, but you know, that's not, for me, that's not really a reason to hold on to something. Yeah. Okay, I think this solidifies it. I think this pocket Mary Oracle is gonna go into timeout right now. And we're gonna keep out the power of Yin Oracle, which I love so much. So good. Okay. Now last but not least that I want to look at today are two like sacred feminine goddess tarot decks. And that is the Intuitive Night Goddess with the Tarot of Sacred Feminine. Now, why these kind of paired together in my brain is because the Intuitive Night Goddess is never pointing to a specific goddess, so it really feels usable as just like divine feminine energy. I really like pairing it with kind of goddess or like deity themed decks. And this deck, while when you get into the guidebook, it does point to specific stories, when you're using the cards just as themselves, you know, it's not on the card, where some of the other tarots I have, it's on the card. Like the Dark Goddess Tarot, things like that. You can zoom in a bit. So I'm kind of wondering if these kind of fit a similar bill to me. Where but I think because this deck here, when you do get into the little white book, it does point to a specific goddess. I feel like maybe that does slightly limit my use of it, because whenever I have decks like that, I find it hard to really pull more than one card, because getting into more than one story, just, it's too much for me to grasp, you know what I mean? So, I don't know that I would pair this with a Goddess Oracle, because then I would feel like I'd have these two stories kind of battling it out. So perhaps even another comparison, or a different comparison, would have been like one of those tarots that have goddesses named on them. But I don't know, I wanted to look at it with this here. And I don't really know that it's making any sort of decision for me. I don't really know if this was a good comparison per se, but at the same time, I don't think it does fit the same bill as those. Like, I'm thinking, again, like the Dark Goddess Tarot, or I have that new Bestiary of Women. And something about this one feels different. And I think it's because, like, I could just not look at the little white book and just use it as tarot and take it for what it is. And I have done that, and it works. So, but then I don't know, looking at these together, I don't think they really have a similar feel. And I think the thing is that this, the Intuitive Night Goddess, to me, it's just slotted into the darker half of the year. That's just when I pull it out. Where this feels like it could be more spring summer, right? It's got a bit of a summery vibe to it. So I think I should say too, the other thing that I think happens with this little mini collection I have going on is where it is kept. I think sometimes I don't really think to look at those decks. And so partially this too is for me to like look through these decks and be like, oh yeah, I probably don't use this a lot because it's not right in my face. And I think this might be a deck, I really thought this was going to end up in timeout, like truly. But I think what I'm feeling like I want to do is just keep it on my desk and really use it and then see how I feel about it, because there's something about it I just like. And then the Intuitive Night Goddess, I love. I love this deck so much. So she was always safe, but I think that's what I'm gonna do. I think the thing too, I get kind of, I don't think biased is the right word, but when it comes to a low Scarabeo deck, I just love them. The experience of shuffling and using these decks is just elite, truly. So I think sometimes I just like them, which is totally fine. You know, sometimes I just keep decks, even if I don't really use them, just because I like them, and that's fine. But yeah, okay, I think that's the plan. We're gonna test just using that one out. And that, my friends, I think that's the last decks I have to look at today. I was gonna kind of this or that the Mary Magdalene Oracle with the Mysteries of the Black Madonna. That feels really unfair though. Like, I was looking at them just now and I'm like, I don't even think there's a comparison. No, that's just, yeah. I'm gonna let that simmer for a bit and maybe I'll be back with another one of these. I think I will. I think my plan is to work my way through my collection doing this because I just think it's fun. So anyway, other than that, I hope you're having a fantastic day so far, and I'll see you again very soon.